Peace, 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 peace. Welcome back to the Universal Temple for the sun, planets, moon, and stars. I be your Lord of Hope, Lord Messiah. And today we going into musical trust agreement. Now, this musical trust agreement is designed for artists who want to secure the rights to their music, right? So now, as you see up here in the heading, I have music trust agreement for Lord Messiah, aka Master Asiatic, under agreement with John Doe Irrevocable Living Trust, to protect the names of the innocent. I didn't put my honorable name or my government name. So John Doe is me basically in this document. John Doe Jr. is my son, and James Doe Jr. is my second son, to protect the names of the innocent. So anyway, under declaration for intent of use, so it's going to be three parts to this. We're going to have the music trust agreement, then I'm going to do the declaration for intent of use, and then we're going to get into the performance agreement. And all of these are under agreement with Lord Messiah Allah El Universal Temple for the Sun, Planet, Moon, and Stars Trust. You know what I'm saying? So now that's how I have my stuff set up. Like, people don't have to do all of that. But right now I'm doing the music trust agreement, the declaration for intent of use in part 2. Video 2 is going to be that. And video 3 is going to be the performance agreement. So we're going to get into part 1 right now, which is the music trust agreement. All right. So you see here, right? Starting off, I put the schedule for schedule for exhibits 1 through 10. So when you start out a trust, and also I'm gonna give you a little knowledge on contract law and how trusts work and things of that nature, so that you understand what I'm giving. Because I don't like to prepare documents for people for a fee and just be like, oh here, take that and do what you do. Like, nah, I'm gonna give you some education along with it. So this is you know what you're doing with the documentation. You know what I mean? So anyway. And let me give my disclaimer, none of this is legal advice. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So, understand that I'm not a lawyer or anything like that. If you seek a lawyer, then you can do so on your own, So, we have here, Music Trust Agreement for Lord Messiah, aka the Master Asiatic, pages 1 through 24, that's the whole trust. Exhibit 1, Schedule for Exhibits, 1 through 12, page 1. Exhibit 2, Date, inspirational quotes for Music Trust, and then the parties. Exhibit 3 is the background, genre, terms. Exhibit 4, co-owning of assets and mixing of funds to title, own, bank, and other accounts. As trustee, you must. Exhibit 5, individual assignment, collective assignment, beneficiaries' rights. Exhibit 6, conditions for distribution, covenant of good faith for trustees, governing laws. Also the schedule for the trust property. Exhibit 7, my album 1, Resurrection of Hip Hop. Exhibit 2, album 2, Exhibit 7, album 1, Resurrection of Hip Hop. Exhibit 8, album 2, the Listener's album. Exhibit 9, album 3, Lord Messiah, the Master Asiatic. So those are all my songs that are put into trust, which are assets in the schedule for trust. Exhibit 10, album covers, front and back, song list. Exhibit 11, declaration for intent of use. Exhibit 12 is the Universal Studios and Associates performance agreement between John Doe and Lord Messiah, aka the Master Asiatic. So, like I said, the declaration of intent for use and the performance agreement are going to come in the 2 following videos. So let's move on. So, music trust agreement for Lord Messiah, aka the Master Asiatic. We got the date, and I got inspirational quotes for music trust. These quotes are from Nipsey Hussle. He said in his song, Rap Iggers, I am nothing like you effing rap is. I own all the rights to all my raps. Open trust accounts, deposit racks. $1 million life insurance on my flesh. You know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, oh, Nipsey spitting that. Nipsey's who are the parties to the contract. So the parties involved in the agreement, such as the grantor, the creator of the music trust, the trustee, the person or entity responsible for managing the trust, and the beneficiaries. those who will benefit from the trust. Now you see I left out the word trust there. That's why it's good to read over your documents, because I made a mistake there and I need to correct that. Okay, so party one is the grantor. Lord Messiah, aka the Master Asiatic, the songwriter and intellectual property owner, in which the ownership and transfer of intellectual property rights related to the music assets, including copyrights, trademarks, and any other relevant rights, are solely in discretion of the grantor. So the grantor is the principal, the one who is initiating the trust and sets all the provisions for himself as a grantor or herself as a grantor, and all the provisions for the trustee to manage the trust and the rights for the beneficiaries, because the trustee is protecting the rights of the beneficiary or beneficiary. Now John Doe, which would be my honorable name, see, I'm acting as the trustee in my government name or my honorable name, and the Lord Messiah Mass Asiatic is obviously my the name as an artist. So you as the artist are the grantor, and then you in your legal name are the trustee, because when you go to sign checks you got to show an ID, and unless your ID says the same name as your musical performance name, then you're going to need the ID that says your legal name. So this is why the trustee is in your legal name, because you got to handle legal affairs in that name. Okay, so trustee, John Doe, musical artist, show performer under contractual and security agreement, licensed agent. Yeah, and I also have a security agreement as well, where all of my songs and everything are basically in a security agreement between me and my honorable name, the artist and honorable name, and so forth. And if you want a security agreement, we can get into that, but that's going to be a whole nother document, a whole nother video and all of that. Okay, so, and in 3 you have the beneficiary. So John Doe Jr., doing business as John Doe Jr. in all caps, and James Doe, doing business as James Doe in all caps. You know what I mean? So these are the beneficiaries. My 2 sons, obviously I change the names to protect the names of the innocent. So you got the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary. These are the 3 parties to the trust. And you can also have a trust protector. If you so choose, that could be another element of your trust if you want a trust protector. And for those of you who get this trust here, if you would like me to act as a trust protector, I also provide that service as well. So let's move on. So for all administrative and financial purposes, the music trust agreement for Lord Messiah Mass Asiatic and shall be a beneficiary for the last will and testament for John Doe, under agreement with Lord Messiah Allah El Universal Temple for the Sun, Planet, Moon, and Stars Trust. So, like I say, that's how I have my thing set up. I have it set up under my will and my trust and all of that type of stuff. So if you want those layers of protection, like I say as well, you can holler at me. So moving on, successor beneficiaries. Any and all additional offspring to be born and added in the future will become the beneficiaries of the trust. In case of the initially designated beneficiaries are no longer alive or eligible to receive the assets, the music trust assets. So if anything, then it will go to any children that I have in the future. So I noted the fact that any children I have in the future, they will also become beneficiaries, like automatically, because it's already in the writing. See what I'm saying? So you ain't got to create and we may have to create an addendum or an amendment to the trust to add the actual name of the actual child, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but it's written though, and this is how you set things up in advance. You see what I'm saying? Article 10 of the Constitution says no state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. So once you create a contract and you're under obligation of that contract, no state can impair the obligations of that contract. Okay, so trust protector. The appointment of the trust protector, who has the authority to oversee the trustee's actions or ensure that the trust is being administered in accordance with the grantor's intentions, shall be whoever the designated trust protector is. Right? You got a line in there for that. See, this right here is the template that I'm going to send y'all. When y'all get this trust, I'm going to send you the template. But this video you can watch over and over again to get all this information on how this actually functions. So you're not just be like, yo, I got a trust, but not knowing how to operate the trust. Because if you're going to be the trustee, or if you're the grantor who appoints a trustee, you have to let them know what they're going to be doing and explain it to them. You know what I mean? I mean, it's explained in the document as well, but being that a lot of people don't read, the grantor being the owner of certain musical compositions and related rights, the songs, wishes to establish a trust for the management and licensing of the songs for the benefit of the beneficiaries, and the trustee agrees to act as trustee of the music trust. So the genre, what is the genre of the trust? Lyrical mathematics, hip-hop music / rap music / spoken word, etc. Terms, what are the terms of the trust? Creation of this music trust. The grantor hereby transfers all rights, titles, interests in all of the songs to the trustee, to be held and administered as a trust fund under the terms of this agreement. So basically the grantor is granting the rights, titles, and interests of the songs to the trustee for them to be held and administered or managed under a trust fund for the, under the terms of this trust. So the trustee has the trustee's duties. What are the trustee's duties? A, to manage management of songs. The trustee shall manage and administer the songs on behalf of the music trust, including but not limited to. B, registering of copyrights and other intellectual property rights in the songs. So what the declaration for intent of use, that's part of that whole copyright beneficiaries. So as a trustee under licensed agreement, this is what the trustee will be doing, licensing out the music to different distributors to make money, for the benefit of the beneficiaries. So D, collecting and distributing royalties and other income generated from exploitation of the songs. So in other words, as the music is gaining a buzz and getting big, and people is booking you for shows and wanting to do interviews and podcasts, the royalties and income generated from the music assets will be distributed among the beneficiaries through a specific percentage, or predetermined as 50% for John Doe Jr. and 50% for James Doe. So I split it up 50-50 between my two sons. And me as a trustee, I'm not compensating myself. I may compensate. It's going to talk about trustee compensations, minor things, but nothing. So enforcing the grantor's rights in the songs. F, enforcing the grantor's rights in the songs, right? Because the property was granted to the trustee from the grantor. So the trustee has the right to enforce the rights of the grantor, which means that the trustee will be the one who will go to court on behalf of the trust. If any legal situations were to take place, the trustee will be the one going on behalf to represent the trust in the court. So enforcing the grantor's rights in the songs against unauthorized use or infringement. Right. So if people are using the songs, like you hear your song on somebody podcast or something, and you never authorize them to do so, we might be sending you a letter of cease and desist. And if you continue to do so, we're going to be sending you some court papers for a lawsuit. That's how that goes. So you want to protect the copyrights and trademarks and all that to your business. That's what is done in the declaration for its words. We want to get the best deal. We don't want to put it on a site where they're saying, well, we get 90% and you get 10% of the streaming income. No, that's a jerk. You know what I'm saying? I think DistroKid said they take I think it's they take 20% and you get 80% or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, that's what I was told. I gotta look into the specifics. But basically, you want to do your due diligence and look for the best deal that you can get. You don't want to sell your music for cheap. You don't want to invest your music. Which means that if something happens to the first trustee, this is going to be the next person in line to administer things. Like say the trustee got sick or something. he's terminally sick on it, really bad or whatever, in critical condition, he can't do anything. He's incapacitated. Somebody has to step up to be able to manage that trust. So you have to designate your successor trustee, the one who's going to come in succession to the original trustee. So I, trust administration. This details the responsibilities and powers of the trustee, including managing and protecting the music assets, making investment decisions, etc. J. Confidential information. For the purpose of this music trust agreement, confidential information shall mean, but shall not be limited to, any technical or non-technical data, formula, patterns, compilations, programs, devices, methods, exposing their business. Everything is confidential. In other words, keep your mouth closed. You know what I'm saying? Stop telling your business. Your business is private. See what I'm saying? That's what that confidentiality clause is about. So, K, restrictions on transfer. This musical trust agreement provision shall restrict the transfer or assignment of the music assets without the consent according to the agreement. Right, so in other words, the trustee cannot transfer these assets outside of this trust. You know what I'm saying? He can't say, well, we're going to transfer it to another trust. Only time they can do that is if the grantor makes a provision to say, okay, you can transfer this property into another trust. Like, say, for example, if there was some legal situation with this trust, there was some kind of invalidity to this trust as to where it wasn't valid enough and it's possible to be penetrated, then okay, we're going to knowledge and manifest it into the wisdom. The trustee, so the grantor is granting the knowledge. You know how the mathematics go. The knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The grantor is the knowledge. He's granting the information, the knowledge, to the trustee. The trustee is acting in a form of wisdom because they're going to react or reflect the knowledge. They're going to take the knowledge and put it into motion. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God. Part of self. So let's move on. So trust duration. The duration of this trust agreement shall be for the lifetime of the parties to this agreement. This helps in determining when the trust agreement will terminate. Right, we just talked about that. Right, so if the trust happens to terminate, or if something happens to the trust or whatever, then the assets may be transferred into another trust. You know what I mean? And the distribution of the music assets will occur. Right, so in other words, if this trust were to collapse or to end somehow, then who would the assets be distributed to? I would say they'd be distributed to the successor trustee, and the successor trustee would have the provisions to transfer this property into another trust. Or if it's the same present trustee, then that present trustee transfers the property into another trust before the cancellation or annulling of this trust. So M, trustee compensation, outlines whether the trustee will receive any compensation for their services, and if so, how it will be determined and paid. This ensures the smooth transition of this trust administration. So in other words, if the trustee is being compensated for, like, now in my particular trust, being that this is for my sons, like, I don't wish to get paid. Like I said, it's all for them. But however, if it's a different agreement, like when compensated for their services, you know what I'm saying? Or if it's like somebody that's just willing to do it, on the strength of you, having a good relation. That's kind of rare. That's very rare to find. So, and even so too, me myself, just a little side note, out of all kind of trusts that you have, there's what's called a living trust. A living trust is the only kind of trust that I know of where you can be the grantor to actually carry out their position as a grantor or trustee. Anybody could be a beneficiary. Yeah, they know how to do that. Receive the benefits. Anybody can do that. You know what I'm saying? Just like your kids, right? When they're kids, they're beneficiaries. You just taking care of them, they receiving benefits. But as they get older, you start giving them responsibilities as trustees. You start giving them chores. You start giving them things to do so they can earn their allowance. You know what I'm saying? And they're being compensated as trustees. They're being trusted. But like I said, I got it set up for my family. You don't have to have it set up for a family. It could just be a business, agreement, however you do. So, okay, N, tax considerations. This trust agreement may address tax matters such as allocations of tax liabilities and responsibility for filing tax returns related to the musical trust. Right. So in other words, if you know, you're gonna file taxes on your trust basically. So you know what I mean? If you put in your trust under your when you file your taxes, if you you put in your trust in there or whatever, you got a EIN or whatever that's attached to the trust and you're using that to file your taxes, then yeah, that'll be, tax considerations, how you choose to file your taxes and so forth. Now, certain trusts are not taxed. Oh, indemnification. Indemnification provides protection for the trustee against any claims, liabilities, or expenses incurred in the performance of their duties, as long as they have acted in good faith and in accordance with the terms of this agreement. Now, we're going to get into the good faith clause a little down in the document, but quite generally, acting in good faith means that you're doing everything honestly with good intent. You're not trying to defraud anyone. You're not doing anything, wrongly on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're acting in good faith. And the indemnification provides protection for the trustee against any claims, liabilities, expenses, etc. Because basically it's like, look, as the grantee, like the trustee is saying, like, look, the grantee granted me my rights and my provisions. I'm following all the rights and provisions that was granted to me by the grantor. And the beneficiaries are happy because they're receiving their benefits. I'm not doing anything wrong. So if anything, whatever, the blah, 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 the trustee has indemnification as to where they're protected against claims, liabilities, expenses, etc. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of protects the trustee to where they don't got to be like walking on eggshells and so concerned about everything they do because they're gonna get in trouble. So they have indemnity. They have a form of indemnification. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's move on. P, amendments and modifications. The process for making changes to the trust agreement, including any required written consent from the parties involved. So in other words, like I was saying, amendments, when you make amendments or modifications, like if you want to add a new beneficiary, then a letter is sent from the grantor to the trustee saying that, okay, I need you to amend the trust and add my newborn child, and this is the name of my newborn child. I need you to add them in as a beneficiary, and then I need you to change up that percentage of John Doe and James Doe, because now we got Janika Doe, you know what I'm saying, just hypothetically speaking. So now she's added on, and now we got to split that up, 33.3%. So Q, confidentiality and non-disclosure. This provision is to maintain the confidentiality of the music trust agreement and to serve and any sensitive information shared between the parties. Right, like we broke that down before in the confidentiality clause. And non-disclosure. Okay, so now they say confidentiality and non-disclosure. So confidentiality, like we said, is all the information is confidential between the parties, and non-disclosure means you cannot disclose any of this information to the public or to anyone who is not a party to this trust, or anyone who is not an affiliation to this trust, or someone in business to this trust, or what have you. You know what I mean? And even when it comes to the courts, right? Let's say if the trustee got to go to court for any legal matter pertaining to this trust, they don't have to give the courts a full copy of the trust. They give them what's called a declaration of trust, abstract of trust, which is basically just a general summation of the trust, letting them know like who the grantor, who the trustee, who the beneficiary is, some of the provisions, and maybe the provisions of the trustee, because he's the one in the court representing the trust. So therefore acting on behalf of the trust as a licensed agent. So therefore he will let the court know everything that he's able to do under provisions of this trust. And when it comes to Q, non-disclosure, when the courts ask him certain questions that they can pass no law impairing the obligation of that contract. I'm gonna keep on quoting that so that y'all understand the purpose of creating this contract. Okay, so R, dispute resolution. This process is for resolving any disputes that may rise between the parties, such as mediation or arbitration. This helps to avoid costly and time-consuming litigation. Right. So in other words, we'll have mediation and arbitrations that'll take place, if there's any dispute resolutions. Like if the trustee said, yo, I didn't get what I was supposed to get from the trustee. I think he's keeping money from me or something. Okay, so now these sites that he has the music on. And then they have the right to know everything that he's making. So everything he's making, being that it's going to them 50-50, they should know everything that they should be receiving. And if they could basically bring these monthly statements to the court and say, look, these are all the monthly statements. It said he from January this year to December this year, he made, say, $30,000 from all the music, but we only received like $12,000 a piece. Like we were supposed to receive $15,000. It will go through probate, and the state takes all his money. This is another reason why you want to have a trust, because it helps to avoid probate. Your any property in your legal name is gonna go through probate. And when it goes through probate, if you don't have certain people lined up in certain positions, such as like the grantor, the trustee, the beneficiaries, the trust protector, what have you, or whatever form of document it is, if it's a will, then you need your executor appointed, or your successor executor when the executor, the beneficiary of whatever assets are in your name, then it's going to go through probate and the state is going to tax it. So you want to create these documents to prevent or avoid the taxation of probate. Okay, moving on. S, reporting and accounting. Requires the trustee to provide periodic reports, like I was saying, periodic reports and accountings to the beneficiaries, detailing the management and financial. Let me give you another quick example of a trust. You chilling, your boys chilling, you know what I'm saying, whatever, you know what I'm saying, y'all might be, you know what I'm saying, turning up or whatever. You get hungry, right? You send your man to the store. Yo, fam, go to the store, you know what I'm saying? Here's $20. I need you to get me, you know what I'm saying, get me a sandwich, get me a drink, get me, 2 wraps, whatever, and you can keep the other $5 for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So now you're compensating the trust. Now you're acting as a grantor, truster, creator, what have you. I don't want to hear all that type of stuff. But when it comes to like business transactions, and they going into business with you, if they're not willing to do it through trust or some kind of legal agreement, they just want to shake hands and you my mans, trust me. I wouldn't I wouldn't advise that. If I were to get legal advice, I wouldn't advise that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not wise. But anyway, this is why I'm explaining all these different provisions so that we understand how things function in contract work. So you remember in Straight Outta Compton how they got jerked because they didn't understand the legalities of the contracts. So we don't want to get jerked by another devil like Jerry Heller. But anyway, let's continue. T, charitable contributions. Allows for the possibility of making charitable contributions for the music assets if desired by the grantor and this can provide tax benefits, right? Can provide tax benefits and support causes aligned with the grantor's values, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, because as you're building and your music is getting more known and you're getting into more contracts with people and they see this like on your resume, like, oh, this dude donates to events and stuff like that. This guy is really honest. He's like, he's okay. That's what's up. But anyway, special provisions includes any additional provisions or clauses that are specific to the grantor's unique circumstances. Create what's called a special needs trust, like if they have a child that has like a disability or something like that, or things of that nature. So let's say like if you have that type of thing, but you didn't create a whole special needs trust, you know what I'm saying, but you just said, okay, I got a special provision for this child, and the provision is that the beneficiaries have to take, say, 10% of whatever they earn from their benefits and put it in a trust fund for this child with the disability, or provisions, basically like special provisions include basically anything that you want to put in your trust to fit whatever needs that you need, whatever they may be, as long as they're legal and lawful. Okay, like you can't say, "Hey, I want to send money to fund terrorists in some foreign country." Like, no, I don't think you can do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you want to do that. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm just joking. So confidentiality and non competition may include provisions that restrict the trustee or beneficiaries from disclosing or using confidential information related to the music trust assets for personal gain or competing with grantors' interests. So in other words, let's say you got a mad child, he's mad at the or mad trustee. You know what I'm saying? He's mad at the grantor for whatever reasons. You know what I'm saying? He says, "Man, I'm gonna mess this stuff up. I'm against the parties of the contract." Like, that's foul. Why would you want to do that? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we got clauses against that to prevent people from, that may be in their feelings from doing something, legal that may affect, the function of what we got going on. So W, investment powers. The trustee has authority to invest and manage the music assets, including ability to buy, sell, or trade assets by song. But however, we still got the rest of 3 albums left. So we're not worried about selling one song. Now let's say they want to buy the whole album. That's going to be at an even higher price. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about how you invest. These are the investment powers of the trustee. So limitation of liability. This provision limits the trustee's liability for actions taken in good faith, right? Life insurance plan, you make your family trust or whatever trust it is the beneficiary of that life insurance plan, and then during the life of the plan you can borrow against the insurance policy, and for educational purposes, send the kids to college or something, or school, trade school, whatever, charter school, what have you. Investments, or business purposes, start a business or invest into something, and multiply the money, put the money back into the trust and all of that. Media accounts, ensuring that they are appropriately accounted for and transferred to the beneficiaries. So in other words, like I say, all the money that you're making off of these different sites, let's say you blow up on TikTok and you're making money off your music or whatever, all of those digital assets made through digitization shall be granted to the beneficiaries. So this entire agreement states that this trust represents the entire understanding between the parties and supersedes any provisions, agreements of understanding related to the music assets. I'm going to read that again. Okay. States that the entire agreement states that this music trust agreement represents the entire understanding between the parties and supersedes any previous agreements or understanding related to the music assets. So in other words, let's say if I had my music on SoundCloud and I wasn't making no money off of there. Okay, well, I'm about to take it off of SoundCloud because I ain't making no money on there, and put it on, say, DistroKid or whatever, because I'll make money on there. So yeah. So any prior agreements that I had before, I'm about to end those prior agreements and make new agreements. And whatever prior agreements, this trust supersedes any other prior agreements. Now, unless I had a prior agreement as to where children are the beneficiaries of the trust, and as long as the trust is valid and set up properly, then the children will automatically receive all their benefits without having to go through the long, drawn-out process of probate. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that goes. But also too, now like I said, I think insurance plans are like pretty secure. So I'm not sure if say like, because anything in your legal name, that can be taxed. Like if you owed other things or whatever, they'll say, well, wait a minute, before they receive that, these are some of the key elements and clauses that are included in this trust, in this music trust agreement. Note, this agreement has been customized to meet the specific needs and interests of the parties involved. Like I said, this is how I'm setting, my trust up specifically. However, and the general template that people will receive will have this general thing. But however, if you want to add any special provisions to this, you can do as you please. Once you receive the template, it's yours, and you do what you do with it. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm just explaining what you will be receiving from the you and I Versal Temple for the sun, planet, moon, and stars. What you will receiving from our services. So now we're getting into the co-owning of assets and mixing of funds. Okay. The trustee may continue to co-own or jointly own assets and have any funds owed by him or her mixed with the funds to the same extent that the co-owning of the joint owning of assets and mixing of funds existed before the operation of this trust. So that means that now, for unless, like I say, unless you're doing this for your family or specific beneficiaries that you know are kin to you, then you can leave this clause in here. But if you're doing it on a business transaction where, like I say, the trustee that you appoint or the grantor or whatever is not a kin of you and you may not trust them on that type of level, then you may want to exclude this clause right here. Now for me, this would be like a special provision clause for me because being that, like I said, I'm somebody to do that, then, you know, hey. But anyway, moving on to title or own bank and other accounts. Each bank trust company or investment firm may have its own format, but generally you may use for this trust. So for example, this is how you would basically sign on behalf of like checks or whatever on behalf of the trust. So you would sign John Doe, trustee, and then the name of the trust, you know, trustee for, or you could put trustee for Music Trust Agreement for Lord Messiah, aka the Master Asiatic. That's the name of the trust. Dated January 30th, 2024. That's my birthday, by the way, but anyway. Or in a shorthand version, meaning like John Doe, trustee under agreement, dated January 30th, 2024. That's the short version, right? For an estate, you should use John Doe Jr., successor grantor. So in other words, like when John Doe passes on and John Doe Jr. takes over as a successor grantor, they would sign John Doe Jr., comma, successor grantor, comma, estate for John Doe, you know, senior, comma, deceased. So in other words, they're signing on they John Doe Jr. successor grant will be the successor grantor signing on behalf of John Doe, who is now deceased. See what I'm saying? For an estate, you should use James Doe, successor grantor, estate for John Doe, deceased. So if it's John Doe Jr. or James Doe or Janika Doe in the future, you know what I'm saying, so to speak, just hypothetically speaking, then they would sign in that manner. And that's as the successor grantor. As a successor trustee, it would be a successor trustee would sign John Doe Jr., successor trustee, or James Doe, successor trustee. Right? And you know they could put the name of the trust as well, you know, if so. But being that there's a successor trustee, then it's already known, obviously, what the trust is, because they are the successor trustee for that trust. So anyway, moving on. As trustee, you must, these are, I guess extra or special provisions for the trustee. As trustee, you must, 1, act accordingly to any instructions from the principal, which is the grantor, or where there are no instructions in the principal's best interest. Right, so in other words, let's say you come across a situation that you never had before. Or like, say, for example, like I said, this hypothetically speaking, and he was pressed for time, so he got to like act on his toes, the shot clock. You know what I'm saying? What you going to do? 3 seconds to the shot clock. What you going to do? So, okay, he took the shot and he made it. And he acted in the best interest of the principal. So anyway, 2, avoid conflicts that would impair your ability to act in the principal's best interest. Right. So in other words, if they saying, well, look, man, we willing to give you a deal, but we only willing to give you like 1,000 for each song. So keep the principal's property separate or distinct from the assets of your own control unless otherwise permitted. So like I said, in that clause up there about the co-owning of assets, In my trust, it is permitted for me to do that because, like I said, Lord Messiah Master Asiatic is John Doe. So, I can do that for myself. However, when you get this template, you can fashion it how you choose to. 4, keep a record of all transactions conducted for the principal, or keep all receipts and payments and transactions conducted for the principal. And 5, disclose your identity as trustee whenever you act for the principal by writing or printing the principal's name and signing your own name as trustee, either in the following manners. So if it's an individual assignment, the individual would sign Lord Messiah, aka Master Asiatic, by John Doe as trustee, or John Doe as trustee for Lord Messiah Master Asiatic. I think that's I would use that way better because it makes more sense and it's more legible as far as how people read and understand. So John Doe as trustee for Lord Messiah Master Asiatic, or for Lord Messiah Music Trust Agreement for Lord Messiah Master Asiatic. You know what I mean? John Doe Jr. by John Doe as trustee, or John Doe as trustee for John Doe Jr. And James Doe by John Doe as trustee, or John Doe as trustee for James Doe. A collective assignment would be John Doe Jr. and James Doe by John Doe as trustee. So if John Doe is signing on behalf for both the beneficiaries, then that's how that would go. Or John Doe as trustee for John Doe Jr. and James Doe. I mean, like I said, I like the second way better because it's more legible. It's more clearly understood that way. You know what I mean? John Doe as trustee for, you know what I mean? And it's putting the trustee before the beneficiary, like in order, like 1, 2, 3, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, grantor, trustee, beneficiary. So, beneficiaries' rights. A, income distribution. The trustee shall distribute the income generated from the songs to the beneficiaries in accordance with their respective interests as determined by the trustee in the sole discretion or as otherwise provided herein. Like I said, how you got the 50-50 split up and all of that, and if there's a new child born, then they got to change that up and make it to 33.3% and all of that. The licensing activities, because remember, the trustee is acting not only as a trustee for the trust, but under license agreement as a licensed agent. See what I'm saying? So for termination of the music trust, and we have an appointment for agent. I think that's in the declaration for intent to use, the appointment for agent, which is in the next video. So termination of music trust. The music trust shall terminate upon the death of the grantor. But however, if they get to the point where they become, like, say, I pass away or something, and they have to step up as successor grantors and trustees, then they could do that in that position. But I don't think they should be able to do that as the beneficiaries. You know what I'm saying? So I may alter that right there. So upon which the remaining assets of the music trust shall be distributed on the parties here too. So in other words, like, if the trustee had to do certain things like filing certain papers and gas in his car to travel to certain places to book meetings or to book shows for the artists and do this, that, and the third, and blah blah blah, then yeah, they can be compensated for those type of things, for those services. You know what I mean? But as far as the money that's made from the streaming and all of that type of stuff, they can't touch any of that. That's strictly for the beneficiaries. You know what I'm saying? So basically, the compensation would grant her to the trustee. So 6, intellectual property and trust laws shall ensure that this agreement meets all necessary legal requirements and adequately protects the interests of the grantor. Right, because the grantor, being the songwriter, you know what I'm saying, and the one to create all the songs, album covers, so forth and whatnot. This is why I'm able to be the grantor, trustee, and I could be a beneficiary if I wanted to, but I just made my sons the beneficiaries. But I could be a beneficiary also. So yeah. So that's written in there, so it's known that this is a living trust agreement. Okay. This includes minimizing exposure of personal information to government agencies, non-government agencies, corporations, creditors, distribution. Okay, so all funds from this music trust agreement shall be directly deposited into a separate account and or trust fund made for the funding for this trust agreement. All funding for this account/fund shall be for the purpose and the intent of the caretaking for John Doe Jr. and James Doe as the beneficiaries for this trust agreement. So everything goes to the beneficiaries, basically. All right, so covenant of good faith for trustees. The parties to this agreement covenant that they enter into this agreement and undertake the obligations of this agreement in good faith. No party will do anything to interfere with the rights of any other party to obtain the advantages extended to that party by this, as though the breach were a tort. Right, so breaching this agreement is like a tort claim in which that person who breaches will be, handled. In addition to liability for other contractual damages. Right. So let it be known and understood by all obligated and inquiring parties to this trust that these terms and provisions imposes an obligation of transacting. You're being honest in it, basically. That's what good faith is. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so the governing laws. This agreement shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the terms, trustee duties, co-owning of assets, and mixing of funds, to title, own, bank, and other accounts. As trustee, you must individual assignment, collective assignment, beneficiary rights, conditions, laws for this document. And furthermore, the grantor, trustee, and beneficiary submit to the jurisdiction of the courts of the state of New York. Now, see how I highlighted that. So when you get this template, whatever state you're in, you will change that to the state that you're in. For the enforcement of this music trust agreement or any arbitration award or decision clauses in here too. So if we do an arbitration clause, then we can handle it that way without necessarily having to go through the courts, or we do our own mediation. So this music trust agreement for Lord Messiah, aka the Master Asiatic, will be enforced or construed according to the laws of the state of New York, or whatever state you're in. And also too, when you get the template, of course, you're going to change it from music trust agreement for Lord Messiah, aka Master Asiatic, to music trust agreement for, Murda Mook, music trust agreement for Loaded Lux, music trust agreement for whomever, So whoever is receiving this trust, that basically, you're going to highlight, you're going to change that name, obviously. So, schedule for trust property. Trust property, the music assets will be placed in this trust, such as compositions, recordings, copyrights, royalties, and other intellectual property rights related to the music, and are listed below. This music trust agreement for Lord Messiah, aka Master Asiatic, is tailored to manage and license out the following: album 1, The Resurrection of Hip Hop. And, you see the album cover, front and back. Track 1. Matter of fact, I'm going to let the computer read this off real fast because I ain't trying to read all of this out loud. But, yeah.
Trademark Music Trust Agreement for Lord Messiah, aka Master Asiatic, copyright use/a trademark John Doe. Irrevocable living trust, copyright use/a trademarks, service marks, collective membership. Trademark Music Trust Agreement for.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's way off. Anyway, I'm going to just read it out. Alright, so anyway, So we got album 1, Sword of Fire by Lord Messiah, Get It Poppin', Get It Crackin' by Lord Messiah, Chessboard by Lord Messiah, Word on the Street by Lord Messiah featuring Master Asiatic, Mind Power by Lord Messiah featuring Master Asiatic, Put Your Drinks Down, the original version by Lord Messiah, State of Hip Hop featuring Master Asiatic by Lord Messiah, Art of Technique by Lord Messiah, It's Rational, Do the Knowledge by Lord Messiah featuring Gibberish, aka Baby 2 Cent, Wisdom in the Cipher by Master Asiatic featuring Lord Messiah, Black Queen, Mother of Civilization by Lord Messiah, Resurrection in Hip Hop by Lord Messiah, Put Down Your Drinks Remix by Lord Messiah, 5% Revolutionary by Lord Messiah, Y'all Know Who It Is by Lord Messiah, Ron Ryder, Into My Chamber, To My Young Sons, all by Lord Messiah. That's album 1, The Resurrection in Hip Hop. Album 2, The Listener's Album. We got Bellport Legacy by Lord Messiah, The Master Asiatic by Master Asiatic, The Art of Technique by Lord Messiah, Great Debater / American Gangster by Lord Messiah. I said you rappers is haters instead of being great debaters, thinking you Denzel but you ain't American gangsters, hating on Lord Messiah the Savior when I'm bringing a message of education and mentally liberation. But anyway, Subliminal Material by Lord Messiah, Messiah Free Verse by Lord Messiah, Laws of God, God Born Builder Destroyed, Jesus Was a Black Man, Political Politics featuring Lord Master Asiatic, A Tribute to Black History, It's Rational and Break It Down by Lord Messiah. And we got album 3, The Master Asiatic. We got Golden Axes by Lord Messiah, Different Style featuring John Doe, the highly anticipated Swagger Jack Rack featuring Lord Messiah, Knowledge of Self, 5% Revolutionary Part 2, Raised by Allah, Mac of the Year, Metaphysical Energy, No Justice, No Peace by Word is Born featuring Israel and Lord Messiah, Intelligence versus Ignorance by Lord Messiah, Battle Rap, aka Actual Fact by Lord Messiah, Technology or Tricknology by Master Asiatic, and we got a bonus track, Get the Dough by Track featuring Lord Messiah and Dutch. And we got 2 bonus tracks here, Get On My Grind by Lord Messiah, Father Was the King of His Throne, Word is Bond by Lord Messiah, and It's That Court-ish / Law-ish by Lord Messiah. So all of those songs right there basically are placed under this music trust agreement, as well as, you know, the Resurrection of Hip Hop. You see my music covers. These are my album covers. You know, I'm claiming copyrights on my album covers. You know what I'm saying? The Listener's Album. And we got Lord Messiah, The Master Asiatic. So those 3 albums, album covers and all of that are all placed in trust under this music trust agreement. Under licensed agreement as well of the license agreement for the trustee as a licensed agent to license out the music under agreement of the trust and so forth. And basically that's the end of the trust right there, and I'm going to end off right there. I think I explained enough. I don't need to go no more. And we about to get into the next video, which is a declaration for intent of use. So I'll see y'all on the next video. Peace. And thank y'all for listening. And we're going to get it in. Peace.